It all began with a dress, a shocking electric pink eyesore floating in a sea of somber black mourning attire. Standing beside my husband's casket, feeling completely hollowed out and numb, I watched my sister-in-law obsess over finding the perfect lighting for a selfie. She was not there to grieve. She was there to perform. She greeted strangers who had never even met my husband, shaking hands with the enthusiasm of a gala hostess rather than a witness to a devastating tragedy. I should have recognized the red flag right then. That was the warning shot. A woman capable of turning a funeral into a photo opportunity is capable of absolutely anything. Yet I never once imagined she would weaponize the life of my own child. The pediatric waiting room possesses a distinct, terrifying sound. A heavy, suffocating silence that is only broken by the mechanical hum of vending machines. My son lay behind those double doors, undergoing heart surgery. It is the type of procedure where you find yourself holding your breath for 4 solid hours. Then my phone buzzed. It was her. Staring at the screen, the name flashing on the display made my stomach churn. I simply could not do it. Not today. Not while my son was under the knife. I let the call go to voicemail. I needed silence. I needed to focus on the prayer playing on a loop inside my mind. 1 hour later at 9 a.m., my phone did not just buzz, it detonated. A relentless, violent stream of vibrations. Text messages, missed calls, my mother, my cousins. Friends I had not spoken to in years. I am so sorry. He is with the angels now. Stay strong. The room began to spin. The surgery was not finished. The doctor had not emerged. Why was everyone offering condolences? My hands trembled so violently I almost dropped the device. I opened Facebook, and there it was. A post from my sister-in-law uploaded 10 minutes prior. A photograph of my son captioned with a tragic weeping emoji. My sweet nephew gained his wings at 9 a.m., totally heartbroken. My breath caught in my throat. For 10 agonizing seconds, I believed her. I believed she possessed knowledge I did not, that the surgeons had called her that my son was dead on the table. I screamed. A primal scream right in the center of the waiting room, collapsing into a chair until a nurse rushed to my side. "My son," I choked out. "Is he—" The nurse checked the digital board. "He is stable, ma'am. They are closing up now. He is fine." He was alive, but my family was in a state of absolute meltdown. Sobbing, I called my mother to explain he was fine. Then I dialed my sister-in-law. She offered no apology. There was no relief in her voice. Her tone was cold, sharp, and completely detached from sanity. "Well," she snapped, "I called you. You did not answer. I assumed the worst. What else was I supposed to think?" She announced the death of my child to the entire world simply because I missed a single phone call. The aftermath was a blur of emotional violence. To his credit, my brother finally recognized the monster sleeping in his bed. He packed his bags, screamed at her, and left. He could not even look me in the eye, consumed by the shame of the woman he had married. However, the true horror was not the lie itself. It was the attempted cleanup. My parents arrived 1 week later. They did not come to comfort me, but to broker a business deal. They sat on my couch, wringing their hands, babbling about grandkids and stability. "He is willing to go to therapy," my mom said, her voice trembling, "but she needs to apologize, publicly, and you need to be there to accept it." "Excuse me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "If you do not accept it, they will divorce," my dad added, as if that were the tragedy here. "Think of your niece and nephew. Do you want them coming from a broken home? Just show up. Let her say sorry and we can move on." They wanted me to stage a photo opportunity with the woman who had buried my living son on the internet. They wanted me to smile and nod so the family image could remain pristine. I looked at them, truly looked at them, and realized the sickness ran far deeper than just my sister-in-law. They were terrified of a divorce, but perfectly comfortable asking a mother to forgive the unforgivable. "Get out," I said. "You are being stubborn," they argued. "You are ruining the family." "No." I told them, standing up, the fear from the hospital finally hardening into steel. "I am protecting my family from her, and now from you." We operated like high-performance machines. That is how I viewed us. My fiancé and I did not merely visit the gym. We laid siege to it. Mountain biking, CrossFit, competitive rowing. Our bodies were calibrated instruments of absolute precision. She used to thrive on that specific agony, pushing herself until her lungs seared, refusing to stop until she physically collapsed. That was the woman I asked to marry me, a warrior. Then came the children. 2 girls born back to back. And just like that, the warrior vanished. The decline began with excuses. The treadmill became too intense. The elliptical became a hard limit. She began referring to her own body as if it were a totaled vehicle, complaining about miles of extra skin and spider veins. She gained weight. She softened. She ceased to be my gym partner and morphed into simply a mama. I watched her slide into mediocrity. She subscribed to those tacky mommy motivation YouTube channels, the ones that preach soft acceptance over iron discipline. She joined support groups where women sat in circles celebrating their own deterioration. I told her I wanted a partner, not a matron. She refused to plan our wedding. Deep down, she knew she was no longer the bride I had ordered. The breaking point was not a conversation, it was a photograph. One of her new wellness friends operates a local magazine. They invited her to participate in a shoot about empowering mom bodies. Nanosh, I did not think much of it until I logged on to social media and saw the image. It was a visual assault. It was artistic, black and white, but there was no masking the reality. The camera lens zoomed in on her stomach. The texture was wrong. Crepe paper skin, loose and exhausted, folding over the waistband of her leggings. And there, resting directly on the ruin of her midsection, were the tiny feet of our daughters. The caption was even worse, a sob story detailing how she used to be an avid rower, how she used to feel valuable because of her beauty, but now she felt undesirable. She claimed she was reclaiming her worth, stating her body made her proud because it housed her kids. I stared at the screen, repulsed. This was not empowerment. It was propaganda for failure. I found her in the kitchen. I did not raise my voice. I did not need volume to inflict damage. I simply held up the phone. "It is one thing to feel bad about yourself," I said, keeping my tone level, "but to blame our children, that is horrible mothering." She froze. "What? That is not what I meant. I am saying I am grateful. Look at the picture." I cut her off, zooming in on the feet resting on the loose skin. "You are literally pointing to them as the cause. You are telling the world, look what these kids did to me. You are blaming them for your ruined body." Her face crumbled. She began to weep, yelling that I did not understand that she was trying to feel human again. "You made a decision." I told her, my voice cold and factual. "You are an adult with free will. You chose to have children. You chose to let your fitness decay. You ruined your body. Not them. You." She looked at me as if I had physically struck her, but someone had to say it. She keeps waiting for me to tell her she is beautiful, but I refuse to lie. She needed to hear that actions have consequences, and no amount of mommy empowerment filters can fix what she broke. Am I the villain for demanding accountability, or is she the villain for blaming 2 innocent little girls for her own lack of discipline? 18 years. That is the length of time he has held my secrets. He is intimately aware that sudden loud noises cause my chest to constrict like a rusting vice. He understands that crowds make the walls feel as though they are physically collapsing inward. He knows I am not merely shy. He knows I am physiologically wired to shatter under the heavy weight of observation. So when he proposed a quiet dinner for my 40th birthday, just the two of us, and a handful of close friends at a local pub, I made the mistake of trusting him. We had been in lockdown for 1 full year. Silence had become my sanctuary. Leaving the house felt dangerous, but he swore it would be low-key. He was lying. The pub was already aggressively loud. The thrum of conversation grated against my exposed nerves, but I fought to hold it together. I fixated on the menu, staring at the wood grain of the table, desperately grounding myself. Then he made his move. "Bathroom," he muttered, sliding out of the booth without meeting my eyes. He possessed a strange kinetic energy, a vibrating, manic anticipation that I foolishly mistook for nerves. 5 minutes ticked by. The atmosphere in the room seemed to curdle. The chatter at neighboring tables died down. I looked up, suddenly sensing a predator in the tall grass. He did not return alone. He led the charge. Marching behind him was a phalanx of waitstaff stepping in rhythm like soldiers going to war. In his hand he gripped a bouquet of balloons, so massive they scraped the ceiling, bobbing in the air like severed heads. Then came the noise. It began with a single clap, then a chant, then a deafening roar. "Happy birthday to you?" It was not a song. It was a siren alerting the hunt. Every single head in the restaurant swiveled toward me. I saw phones, dozens of black rectangles, raised like weapons, recording my terror. The camera flashlights blinded me. I felt like a biological specimen trapped in a jar with strangers tapping on the glass. My heart hammered against my ribs with enough force to bruise. The room actually tilted on its axis. The faces of our so-called friends warped into grotesque waxen smiles, their mouths moving in terrifying slow motion. I could not breathe. The air had turned too thick, too hot to inhale. They are looking at you. Everyone is looking at you. I stopped thinking. Pure instinct seized the wheel. I stood up, knocking my chair backward, with a violent crash that nobody heard over the singing. I did not say goodbye. I did not grab my coat. I ran. I shoved past the singing waiters, burst through the heavy oak doors, and collapsed into the cool night air. Shaking violently, I ordered an Uber, my vision blurring with tears of pure animalistic panic. I lay in the pitch black of our bedroom, curled into a tight ball, waiting for my heart rate to decelerate. I expected a text asking if I was okay. I expected him to come home worried that his wife had suffered a medical emergency. 1 hour later, the front door slammed shut. He did not enter softly. He stormed in. He threw the bedroom door open, the harsh hallway light silhouetting him like a monster in the frame. "You humiliated me," he spat. I sat up trembling. I could not breathe. "You know I cannot handle that. You know." "It was your 40th birthday." He screamed, his face twisting with a rage that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with control. I planned that event. I organized the staff. I got everyone to sing, and you ran away like a child. I was terrified, I whispered. "You were ungrateful," he countered, stepping closer into my space. "I wanted to show you off. I wanted to be the husband who threw the great party, and you ruined it. You made me look like an idiot." He is sleeping in the guest room now. He claims he will not speak to me until I apologize to him for having a panic attack, for fleeing a trap he explicitly set. He wants me to text every friend and apologize for making a scene. He does not see a wife in distress. He only sees a prop that fell off the stage during his grand performance. The cage, I live in a golden cage. I work for my grandparents' company. I live in one of my parents' rental properties in a city where rent costs more than a human soul. They hold the keys to my apartment, the signature on my paycheck, and the ink on the will. I am bisexual. But in this family, a dynasty built on old money and older prejudices, that word is a death sentence. My cousin Jessica found that out the hard way. She came out last month. The reaction was swift and nuclear. She was disowned, fired, and scrubbed from the will. She was erased. The ultimatum. The call came late at night. Jessica sounded desperate, her voice cracking over the line. She was drowning, cut off from the family trust that paid her rent. She needed an ally. "You have to come out too," she demanded. It wasn't a request, it was a strategy. They can't disown both of us. We're the only heirs. If we both stand up, they'll have to fold. They want grandkids too much to cut us both off. I felt the blood drain from my face. "Jessica, I can't. I have nowhere to go. I'll be on the street in a month." "You're a coward," she screamed. "You're abandoning me. You're hiding in the closet for the inheritance while I starve." "It's not about the money. It's about survival," I pleaded, but she had stopped listening. She hung up. The betrayal. 2 days later, the atmosphere shifted. My phone started vibrating with a different kind of intensity. My mother, my father, my grandfather. I answered my mother's call. She didn't say hello. "We need to talk. Now. Come to the main house." I drove there with my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I knew what Jessica had done. In her anger and her desperation to burn the house down, she had thrown me into the fire. The tribunal. They were waiting in the living room. My grandparents sat in their armchairs like judges. My parents stood behind them like executioners. The air was thick with accusation. "Jessica called," my grandfather said. His voice was low, dangerous. "She says you're like her. She says you're lying to us to stay in the will. Is it true?" My entire life flashed before me. If I said yes, the keys would be taken. The job would be gone. I would be destitute within weeks. I looked at their faces, hard hateful, waiting for a reason to cut the cord. I looked at the precipice, and I stepped back. The lie. "No," I said. My voice didn't shake. I forced tears into my eyes, not of sadness, but of performance art. "I don't know why she would say that. She's trying to hurt you. She's trying to drag me down because she's angry at you." I threw her to the wolves. I had to. She told me she would ruin my reputation if I didn't give her money. I lied, the fabrication spilling out of me in a torrent of panic. She's lying. I'm not gay, I swear. I spent an hour in that room, crying fake tears, denying my own identity, and painting my desperate cousin as a vindictive liar. I watched their faces soften. I watched them believe me. The aftermath. They let me go. I kept my job. I kept my apartment. But Jessica is gone. My lie sealed her fate. The family now believes she is not only a deviant, but a malicious liar who tried to frame her innocent cousin. She is completely isolated. I am the only one she has left, and she hates me. She texted me one last time. "You sold your soul." Maybe I did, but I still have a roof over my head. In this family, that's the only currency that matters. Our home is a battlefield wrapped in the camouflage of a suburban bungalow. With my husband currently deployed, I am left alone to patrol the demilitarized zone. Upstairs, my daughter Belle has constructed a fortress. The air is thick with the heavy scent of burning sage and damp earth. Her shelves display goat skulls, crystals, and hand-drawn sigils. I do not interfere. I bite my tongue when passing her witch-themed altars. I tell myself that faith is a choice, not a mandate. I grant her the darkness she craves because I believe she has the right to exist. However, I forgot that tolerance is a street that must run two ways. I purchased a small fragment of peace for myself. It was not some fire and brimstone crucifix. It was a simple wooden cross, hand-painted by a local artist with native wildflowers. It was soft, quiet, and beautiful. I hung it on our front porch, my territory. Belle did not merely dislike it. She was personally offended by its very existence. She stood in the driveway, glaring at the painted flowers as if they were a hate crime. "You need to take that down," she demanded, her voice dripping with teenage disdain. "It gives people the wrong impression of my religious beliefs." "It is my house, Belle," I said, keeping my voice dangerously calm. "And it is my porch." "It is embarrassing," she snapped. "It makes us look like them." She wanted me to erase my identity so hers could burn brighter. I refused. I thought the battle was over. I was wrong. Belle did not engage me directly. Instead, she recruited a mercenary. 2 days later, I was navigating the cereal aisle at the commissary. I collided with the mother of Belle's friend Liz. She did not offer a smile. She blocked my path with her shopping cart, her face fixed in a mask of patronizing concern. "I heard about the situation at home," she announced loud enough for nearby shoppers to turn their heads. "Excuse me?" "The cross," she whispered, leaning in close, as if discussing a terminal illness. "Belle told us how uncomfortable she feels. You know we really should be fostering a safe space for their exploration, forcing your symbols on her. It is a bit intolerant, do you not think?" My blood ran cold. My daughter had gone to another woman, painted me as a religious oppressor, and dispatched this stranger to publicly shame me in the grocery store. I drove home in absolute silence, my anger refining into a hard, focused point. When I walked through the door, I did not scream. I marched past the sage, past the crystals, and planted myself in the doorway of her room. "You want tolerance," I asked, my voice cutting through her music. "You fill this house with your altars. You saturate the air with your incense. And I say nothing. I let you be. But the moment I display one single symbol of my own, you attempt to shame me into submission." She rolled her eyes, but I caught the flicker of guilt. "You do not want tolerance, Belle," I told her. "You want dominance. You want to erase me to make room for yourself. And I will not let you." I left the cross on the porch. Every time she walks past it, she scowls. But that cross is no longer just a religious symbol. It is a boundary line.